Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Miles Trial, brought to you by the new federal state of China. My name is Saturn, and I'm your host for today. Today marks the date 21st of Miles Trial. Right now, just to give everybody a general recap, Miles is still being held in Miles is still attending trial in the Southern District Court of New York. Miles is facing a number of financial charges, and including one count of RICO. And Miles has never pled guilty to these charges. And today we are actually going straight into this panel discussion with two of our members who have been attending the trial and also just been bringing a lot of great information onto the show and to our viewers. And yesterday, I know that throughout this week, the trial has been running all the way to 5 p.m. So we actually have a little bit of extra information left over from yesterday. So before we dive into today's content, we're actually going to give everybody a short recap of what happened yesterday and also just a continuation from where we had left off yesterday, and just to wrap everything up from yesterday, and then we can move on to today's topic. So with that being said, let us welcome Max and Feder onto the show. Thank you guys for coming onto the show.
Hi, Saturn.
Hey, Saturn. It's
Hi,
great
everyone.
to be here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah, so I think Max is going to bring out some recap for the end of yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. So as you guys know, we ended off before the court date had actually finished yesterday for yesterday's show. So we ended at 2:30. So there was still a bit of a 2-hour segment. And just to give everyone a refresher, yesterday was a very, very jam-packed day. There were 5 witnesses in total, 4 of them being FBI agents and 1 of them being a client services agent at Morgan Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time that we started the English show, we were talking about how we were going into the cross of Special Agent Hinz, who was responsible for bringing forth some evidence in regards to like Google forms, like Google subscriber forms and whatnot. It was very interesting to see like a lot of personal information being brought out in regards to UK's true home, so Miles and Mego. There was no mention of Miles, however, but there were photos depicting him and whatnot. But it was very interesting to note because he himself did not prepare any of these documents of any of these exhibits. Instead, he was mainly there to testify on behalf and read out things that were presented in the exhibits. And specifically in the transcript, there was one part where he was asked about why so-and-so exhibits were put together, and he said, I wasn't asked to ask those questions. I was asked to verify that this summary matched the documents they came from for accuracy. So it was very interesting. They finished off the cross, and then they went on to the 5th witness of yesterday, who was Gabriela Luciano. She was also a FBI agent who was present during the March 15 search warrant of the Mahwah, New Jersey residence. And basically, she had provided the court with some photos that they had taken of the Mahwah mansion. Some may be familiar with some of the photos as well, but that's exactly where we started off today with continuing the direct of witness number 26, Gabriela Luciano.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the little bit of recap. And
Yeah.
I do see Jeremy, the founder of LFA TV, in the chat, so shout outs to Jeremy. And also just to clarify a little bit about what the Mahwah residence is actually known as the new federal state of China's home base. And this is where our June 4th anniversary took place last year, and also where Jeremy and many and a couple of hosts from LFA TV has also attended the celebration at. So that is where that is what the FBI agent has searched. That is the location. So I think I also wanted to get a little bit of clarity when you were talking about some of the testimonies from the FBI agents. I think that they did bring out a large number of evidence from the sounds of it, probably a lot of photos and pictures of documents. Mm-hmm. Did it seem like these agents know what pictures they were taking, or any individuals, names of individuals that showed up?
No, not at all. Like this question was asked when each picture was shown to them. They were asking, oh, where are they? No idea. Who are they? You know, who are they? Are they related in some sort? Like there's no a specific answer. They don't know anything about the people in the picture or their identities.
Right? Absolutely. It was like we said, it was mainly their testimony was just to read out specific exhibits presented that wasn't even like put together by them, right? And this is seen in every single FBI agent that has testified, or these forensic agents, to only read out specific texts. And when they were cross-examined, you know, do you know this person? Do you know that person? Even during the direct, they would say, I have no idea who this person is, or I have no idea what this thing represents.
And even does this include, you know, individuals like Miles and Yvette?
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, like they're mainly for the government to paint a specific narrative from their standpoint, and not much substance from the testimony itself.
Wow, that's quite interesting, because because it seems to me like these FBI agents were coming out to testify just for the pure purpose of, you know, at least this is my opinion. It seems like they were just wanted to present some type of evidence in front of the court, so, you know, they had someone who took the pic photographs.
Yes, they found the right person in the right department to come to say those things for them, because there's not actually no one. They're not participant, they're not involved directly in the research or in the movement or in any kind of, you know, involvement with the case. They have no other. Remember, there were no other involvement except for that specific day in that specific mission of theirs.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add just a tiny bit. With the when we were getting close to like the end of the number of witnesses that the government was supposed to present, we saw them pull out a bunch of these FBI basic testimonies, right? This week we had a ton of them, and I feel like the objective is mainly just for them to try to refresh the jurors' memory of what exactly happened. They weren't presenting many new evidences, and in my opinion, it was very, very redundant information that has been discussed multiple times before. But I guess they were just, since they're kind of like free cards, they can come in whenever. They're just meant as a memory refresher.
Yeah, and I remember there's one of the FBI agent was just meeting with the government a week ago. I think I was a forensic accountant. They met with the government a week ago, and then she squeezed in yesterday for the testimony, you know, to testify for the government. And you know, about like Max said, a lot of repeated information, and especially when it comes to the car Ferrari, they were including the first one, the dealership that came to testify. That's non-government. There's 3 FBI agents that came to. Oh no, one forensic accountant. Well, 3 government agents come in court to testify. So 4 witnesses for one statement or one argument they're trying to make with the Ferrari.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, just to clarify this for the viewers, what Max was talking about earlier about these FBI agents not adding up to the tally is because the government only has a set number of witnesses they can present in court, and any federal agents, like FBI agents, that are testifying in court, they do not add to that tally. So they can theoretically have on as many FBI agents as they so wish to build their case. And also with the repeating evidences, I would like to also just confirm these are repeating evidences of purchases that relates to the luxury vehicles.
Related
correct?
to it, yes. It's to prove the point that this look where this is where money goes. This is how this Ferrari, what this Ferrari is for. They're trying to show that they use the this is the point of showing that the Miles used the investors' money to buy cars and buy personal luxury items for himself, personal use. And this whole you know, you have people play different roles in improving this argument. Like you have people in the accountant, in the bank, in FBI, in the car dealers. They're all like in a chain to trying to prove this argument. So this is all the people they try to find as much as people they can find to prove this argument that this car is for personal use and not for G clubs. Yes.
Yeah, I personally, you know, think that, you know, this is quite a number of witnesses just to prove a purchase of a vehicle when there has already been financial documents shown. And also, I think there was an emphasis on where the vehicles are delivered, right? Because I remember in the earlier testimony of the car salesmen, like there was an emphasis on, you know, where the money was paid and then where it was shipped. So I think was that another thing that was also reoccurring during these evidences.
Yeah, so I not in the recent testimonies, but just to go back on your point, that is correct, because I believe they were trying to prove a point that these purchases, if they were made for G Club's operations, they were trying to prove that it was being brought outside of like the jurisdiction. So that's why location played a big role within all their testimonies as well.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
And also, let us move forward a little bit, right? I think I also want to paint a better picture of yesterday
For
because
sure.
I remember there was a number of witnesses
for
that
sure.
they went through yesterday. Can you just clarify for the viewers how many FBI agents had testified yesterday?
Let's go back in our notes because it was five total witnesses from
Which
the
is a
start.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think the most that we've had so far.
in one day.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
one day, and it was pretty crazy.
So starting from the morning, we have the first one came yesterday morning was FBI agent in New York. It's a stat operation analyst. Her job was to take pictures, so she
Right.
was in the search at the Sharon Netherland, I believe.
I think it was Yvette's house. Not,
Oh
not,
yes,
not
yes.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
Yvette's
Yes,
house.
Yvette's apartment. Her job was to take pictures, and I think does she have anything to do with the photo log that the FBI had to arrange the photos and then put it in the timeline sheet? I don't think she. Yeah, I don't think she was the one. She was only there to take pictures. And she was asked to testify. Oh, this picture, it's the one that she took, and then identify each picture, and then identify the items in the
Yeah,
pictures.
so her testimony brought up with its own evidence, like a bunch of photos, especially like the logs of finances pertaining to, for example, rule of law, society and foundation, and things like that. So they were trying to extrapolate more information based on those photos that she had involvement with. So basically, that was the entire argument that they were trying to prove by bringing her on to just to get more information.
Right, and then it was very interesting because for some of the pictures you were showing like notepads. So like there's a notepad, the 3 notepads have been stacked together, and then like each one you can see like a little piece of it in the first page. So like there you can see the complete first page of the notepad that's on top of every notepad. And then there's other 2 that's like being, hidden. There's part that's been hidden.
So only a portion of the
Yes.
notepads is shown because they're overlapped.
Yes,
basically.
yes. And then very interesting enough because this person, this agent taking the picture, she's not supposed to touch anything. She's only asked to take pictures. So if the FBI agent in the search team called her, oh, come take a picture of this, she'll go and take that picture of the thing. So everything it's being placed for her to take pictures. So she was not allowed to touch anything. So the things it's been placed in certain ways for her to take the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to quickly recap, essentially her testimony was just like she didn't know where these things came from. She didn't know what it pertained to. She just showed the photos to the jury, right? And then we quickly went into Elizabeth Bursler, the client services who was servicing the G Club's account at Morgan Stanley. Yeah, exactly. So basically, they were pertaining to an argument regarding fraud operations, catching a red flag in regards to the G Club's operation account, and it was later revealed that it was maybe implied that they were only because they received pressure, like a subpoena from the U.S. government, that they had to look into these things, right?
Right. Also, this is very important because they were asked to take out the fund of $10 million.
Yeah.
And this is of course this would bring the attention of a lot of the compliance, let's say, for example, compliance department, fraud department, and their job is to dare to protect the firm, the bank, as well as the customer. So that they ask questions. Well, if you take a larger sum, you get more questions, right? Because it's a lot of money. They're there to protect you instead of controlling your money. So the job is not to control. Say you shouldn't take out $10 million. This is not what their job. They're supposed to be asking questions to make sure that you're the person taking the money out, right?
Because to put into perspective, they have the ability to ask for certain details regarding this transfer. They have the ability to ask for like certain agreements pertaining to which entities are being transferred in. But they didn't ask because that's not their role. Their role is just mainly to protect the client and the receiving bank and their own firm. And it was brought up that they had to protect the reputation of their own firm as well because of the pressure that's being received, negative pressure surrounding like the press of Mr. Guo and everything relating to the G Club's operation account. So they received a lot of pressure from that, which is what sparked, you know, all the red flags and them leading to like was it the closure of the account, or they did eventually close it?
The
Yeah,
account.
right.
Yes. But
So
then there's
it's
also
very similar to
misunderstanding.
the previous
Exactly.
testimonies of
Yeah.
two
Princeton.
Yeah, the Princeton Bank and
Yeah.
as well as the other bank.
Right.
Yeah,
No, not the bank, but the crypto.
Yeah, BitGo.
Yeah, Bitgo.
Yeah.
BitGo, yes.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes. But then, you know, they passed the diligence, they passed the KYC, you know, everything was fine until they received the subpoena under pressure
Yeah.
from outside.
So yeah, and then we move on to number 24, Ms. Reyes, who was a very quick testimony, just a flow of cash from which account that ended up into the Beverly Hills Ferrari dealership.
Yes.
So basically, yeah, like we said, Ferrari mentioned probably for like what, the fifth or sixth time now.
So
Just
multiple witnesses who kind of prove the
witnesses.
same thing.
Yes,
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. And then that's how we got brought into the second last witness, Special Agent Hintz. So
Right,
brings
right.
us to present time today.
So you know, like with the Ferrari with the long thing, and then there's a 10 years long.
Yeah.
You know, there's a 10 years long with G Club with, I believe, a Fiesta, the Fiesta, the property development, which is located, I'm pretty sure it's located in UK. So they had a 10 years like a loan agreement, and the bank account at Morgan Stanley closed before the first payment can go through. So that Morgan Stanley don't know, they wouldn't have no idea, they wouldn't know if they paid the first payment or starting to repay this 10-year loan. So they would assume that, oh, no, they didn't pay the loan. That's G Club's, it's lending it to the Fiesta, which the money used to buy the Ferrari. They wouldn't know because the contract, the repayment starting after the bank account closed. So that was also mentioned in the trial yesterday. I think is a really key information. You know.
And did this come up in the cross-examination? Or
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
Yes. You know, it was mentioned. Oh, did you know there's a 10 years long? That question was to the Morgan Stanley staff, but she doesn't know there's a 10 years loan agreement. That you know there's a repayment plan as well. But then she just assumed, oh, they didn't repay because the bank account closed, so they wouldn't know. And then afterwards, they show the official documents. That's that indicates this is the agreement.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lender, there's a borrower, and it's signed by the director. You know, the 10 repayment plan and what's the date and etc.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, and also let us fast forward to today. I think we more or less gave the audience a very good idea of what had happened prior to the new witness today.
Yeah.
So would you guys mind introducing the new witness that was introduced in the trial today, and you know what is some of the arguments that the government is trying to convey through this witness?
Right. So you know we have the Luciano, right? The agent that just started a direct examination by the government yesterday. So it was mainly focused on the Mawa Mansion that we use as the NFSC home base. You know, we were shown a different. Did we cover this? We didn't cover the cross yet, right? So we can keep talking about this.
Yeah, we can continue off of that.
Okay. So basically, she was the one. She wasn't the one searching, but she was testifying the picture being taken on that search on March 15th, 2023, and she was shown to the floor plan, the closet, the bookcase with the statue or the cameras and the equipments, etc. And also a G Fashion invoice was also mentioned.
Yeah.
And the residential lease agreement was also in the that was one of the key evidence shown to court. You want to give a bit more detail on that?
Yeah, so, well, during the direct, I feel like their main argument was to paint this as a personal property because in the floor plan, there was a lot of talk as in like, oh, this is the personal room or like May's bedroom, boss's, madam's, etc., etc. This is the son's bedroom. So their whole argument was essentially like, if Miles isn't the UBO of G Clubs, then why does he get to enjoy all this personal luxury at the G Club's home base, or sorry, the NFSC home base, right? And they also brought up like the fact that he was broadcasting, several of his broadcasts had the background in the mansion itself. But funnily enough, like you said, we did host a June 4th there last year, and many of the photos that were brought up, we actually have quite similar photos.
We took selfies, photos there.
We also have forensic evidence stored on our smartphone of all the memories that we had there. Including the towels, all this that they were trying to prove, like $900 towels, like silk bathrobes, Versace bathrobes, we saw it as well.
Yes.
So yeah, that was quite funny.
It was quite different than what we saw actually, and then we were the ones putting up labeled each room. When we were preparing for June 4th celebration, each room was labeled with G Club's names on it. There's like a golden plate that was labeled each room for the guests. For the lease agreement that said it was for single family use, there was never a landlord signature or landlord initials. So I don't know where they found that lease agreement. Maybe it was a draft or some kind of agreement that wasn't, that's missing signatures from the other party that agreed to this agreement.
Yeah, but I mean, it was more or less a pretty brief cross and direct, and there was barely any redirect. They were just pushing back against one particular argument in the redirect of how the cross kind of questioned the FBI procedures and how it wasn't done extensively, or this witness herself couldn't have known everything that went on. Right? So, and then we quickly went into Jesse Brown before the break. Did you want to say something?
Let's go back to this witness a little bit during the cross. So a lot of things were brought up because for during the cross and during the direct, she was asked to. Well, the government was showing like little clips of Miles talking about his crocodile hoodie jacket, saying, "Oh, like how cute it is! You see how pretty everyone would look good in the jacket." He was without knowing the context. This is what the government trying to is insinuating that he's bougie, or like he's look at him showing off his $100,000 crocodile jacket, but then it was showing an invoice of a couple items that was purchased, but then during the cross, there was a full transcript of the video being shown. Basically, it was our defense lawyer was asking, "Oh, do you know that Miles it's actually marketing and also promoting for G Fashion, and that he gets 100% off discount for promoting it, and they wouldn't know that, right?" And also, government was asking that witness if in this video clip, do you see anything related to New Federal State of China? Do you see if he was mentioning anything about taking down the Chinese Communist Party or anything about CCP? Well, in that specific video clip, he was talking about the hoodie, so he didn't mention. But then during the cross, on the video, there's a sign, that's the logo saying CCP doesn't equal Chinese. So it was always there present, even though Miles didn't talk about it in that minute. But then it was always on the screen that shows that what he stands for, what New Federal State of China stands for, right? But then after they showed the full transcript, Miles will mention CCP and the progress made by the NFSC. Like he never would have missed that part or just not mentioned it in each of his live stream, right?
Right, and I think that's so just to back up just a little bit more, I want to clarify to the viewers that the crocodile jacket Miles is marketing, that's G Fashion, that is that is a product of G Fashion. That is not like a separate expensive luxury brand that he's just showing off. He's genuinely just trying to market this piece of clothing for G Fashion. So that is so just to give a little bit more clarity to the viewers about why we're talking about clothes and marketing and all that.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that Miles is the greatest G Fashion ambassador I've got, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he makes a lot of clothing look great, and that makes all of us want to purchase G Fashion.
Yes, absolutely.
And going back to what Feder said about the CCP not equaling the Chinese, I think that is one of the most powerful messages brought up by the New Federal State of China, just because of how evil the Chinese Communist Party is, and the fact that we cannot allow such an evil regime to represent the Chinese people, because let's face it, the Chinese people are not bad people. Chinese people are good people. They have a lot of love, and they also have a lot of care for humanitarian causes in this world. Just so from that fact alone, I think this is something we always have to say, and that is something that Ava has always said on her show Whistleblowers, that the CCP does not equal the Chinese people, and there's no way we will let the Chinese Communist Party represent us, and that is why we do what we do to take down the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And also this FBI agent does not know. She wasn't the one doing the research. She was just here to testify. The pictures being shown to her. She attended to one meeting and left early for this search, this planned search. And even though she spent the whole day in the mansion, she does not recall a lot of things that she saw in the mansion.
Yeah. Because keep in mind, this was more than a year ago now.
Yeah.
Right. So her testimony wasn't based on anything that she had opinion or like had witnessed herself. It was mostly to the photos that were shown in court.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's also a common theme with many of these witnesses who are there who are there to testify for pictures they were instructed to take. Right. This is my understanding of it, is that they were instructed to take the pictures instead of them deciding what to take.
Yes.
So I think that's why a lot of the confusion would be when they were asked questions regarding what are some of the subjects related to these evidences.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that also speaks to because it's a year ago, right? I think they also don't really remember how many pieces of evidence they have collected or cataloged in their photographs, correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's right.
but then they did admit that they reviewed this with government previously too. But then think back when they were present in that space and that time. It will be understandable that if they forget a lot of things, even though they were being reminded again by the government or by the defense today. Is there anything else about this witness?
I honestly think the breadth of today was mostly the second witness that they introduced.
Yes.
So let us save the second half of the show for that segment. And right before we dive into the second half of the show, I actually wanted to just let our viewers know again where you guys can find more information regarding the trial. You guys can follow us on X at NFSE Speak. On here, we will be uploading promptly updates regarding Miles's trial. And also we're also on NFSE Speaks on Getter, doing the same thing, giving you guys very up-to-date updates regarding the trial. And also we will have the show on LFA TV from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, and we will also have our court transcripts uploaded on our official website at nfseofficial.com. We will be uploading these transcripts as soon as we get it, so pretty much we will be uploading the transcript for the day of the trial as on the same day that the trial takes place. So you guys don't really have to wait a whole lot of time to be able to get your hands on this very important information. Now, with that being said, I think, again, thank you guys for coming on and giving us such a thorough run through of what had transpired yesterday and a little bit of today. And I think, Max, you said that the second witness of today is kind of like the key, the key witness for today, right?
Key witness in terms of information and humor, because he was such a funny guy. I won't lie. It was like unintentionally funny with the way that he was phrasing his testimony.
Yes.
But we'll dive into that. I'd like to give like the viewers just a little rundown of like who this person is. So his name did pop up in previous evidence as Jesse Brown. Some of you may have heard this name as well. He was actually once previously introduced as the CEO of Himalaya Exchange, and he said he resigned in January of 2023. Before that, he was doing a lot of crypto work, and it was revealed that he was like self-taught, which is a fair statement, self-taught crypto architect almost. Like he oversaw a lot of projects relating to crypto. I believe it was first, let me go back to his work experience, but he first started in Ford, and he was their first blockchain consultant, and he was only there for about 4 months. Then he went on to an electronic healthcare appliance to do crypto work as well. He was there in 2017, but he was actually fired from that job. And then he went on to do more crypto, basically projects, including data blockchain, as well as he was a DTCC consultant. DTCC is like a huge, basically network where trades are finalized every single day. They say they go through like $1 trillion in terms of settlements of trades a day. So possibly
so it's like
The
a trading
biggest,
platform
yeah.
for digital currencies. Something similar to that?
it's kind of like it wasn't exactly a platform, I'd say. To my understanding, it's more so like the how it's settled, right? So like when we, for example, the New York Stock Exchange.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, right. So
It
like
was
it's the back end.
biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, he was a big name, and he made a pretty extensive work experience for himself, and that's how he eventually ended up on the radar, being vetted by like Yvette and William G. Yeah, William G. And they eventually onboarded him to work as part of. Technically, they said they wanted to employ him as part of GTV at first. / Goa Media, but it turns out that he actually had no relationship to GTV or Goa Media apart from like the initial like onboarding, like the human resources and whatnot. And after that, he was essentially just transitioned to work as part of Himalaya Exchange. Yeah, and that's because, as some of you may know, like the project for crypto started before Himalaya Exchange. It actually started up as the G coin and the G dollar, and then this is what we now know as HDO and HCN, right? So yeah, that's just a brief summary of like where he was and his experience that led him to working at the Himalaya Exchange.
So before we dive a little bit deeper into his testimony, I do want to ask one question, and I think this has been a pattern with a number of witnesses who have held positions in the G series or some of the related companies. Did he have a non-prosecution agreement with the government?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he
You
has a non-prosecution agreement. For the things he did potentially for Go Media, GTV. For something he did in the past, and I think it was 2007.
2007, yeah.
For mortgage application because he misrepresented his income. And this is mainly the three things that he will not get prosecuted if he tells the truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so as you said, this seems to be like a common trend with all these big figures that the government is bringing in to testify. They all have a bit of backstory, as well as they've all accepted a non-prosecution agreement, so they won't be prosecuted for one, their involvement in the supposed scheme that they're trying to prosecute Mr. Guo for, and number two, they also seem to have a bit of personal backstory to them. Just to cite, like Mr. Khalid, who had a series of white-collar crimes that he committed, and it was basically granting him immunity for that. Yeah.
And did they ever point out how many times he had worked with the government prior to his testimony today?
Not to my knowledge that they mentioned about it.
Yeah,
right?
they usually do like a quick background, as in how many times you meet with them.
Right.
But I think they were trying to speed up the testimonies and the witnesses, the procedures today, so they didn't actually dive into that. But as we all know from the transcripts, like they always ask this question for the FBI agents, and everyone.
Yeah. Speaking about progress and the schedule of like speeding up the progress and stuff, I have a kind of a good news to bring up, but then I'll say it at the end of the session today. Okay.
Okay. I will remind you to let all the viewers know. And actually, now that you brought this up, I did see a question from Natalie in the comments. Can anyone tell me if Ava is going to be on Saturday? Well, I just want to let all the viewers know that Ava will be taking a break from doing whistleblowers on Saturdays, just because she is also reporting on the trial. But you guys will be able to get a little bit of Ava during Monday to Friday whenever we do have the trial. And this trial will run until July 12th. So this will be about four or so weeks until Ava returns to doing whistleblowers. And in the meantime, we will have a different team from the new federal state of China doing the Saturday show in place of Ava for the meantime. So I think with that being said, let's continue with this witness. Sure. What was the main argument they were really trying to make through this witness from the government side?
Yeah, for sure. So because he held like the CEO position, later transitioning to president of the Himalaya Exchange, actually, they were trying to delegitimize like Himalaya Exchange as a trading exchange, crypto exchange, through his understanding of what is conventional and what is not. So basically, they went through the fact that, again, to reiterate some of the previous testimony from, I believe his name was Samuel Roberts from BitGo. His testimony was likely similar in terms of how Himalaya Exchange had actually never traded on chain. So just to give everyone just a quick summary, like in terms of cryptocurrency, there exists what is called a blockchain, which is, you can think of it as like a public ledger, where transactions are recorded and observed by anyone who can access basically the general public. Anyone can see the list of transactions, right? So that's what's very conventional in terms of cryptocurrency. It's what much of the concept was built upon. But there also exists private ledgers. So for example, if you have a wallet that exists, transactions between this wallet is not visible, is not on the blockchain, not visible to the public eye. That's why we call it an off-chain transaction, right? So Himalaya Exchange operated as a private ledger for basically its entire run through till current, because of, I guess, their rollout plan has not been able to substantiate like the on-chain transactions just yet. So basically, they're just saying how this type of trading may seem a bit more, I guess, in colloquial terms, like shady. like they're just saying like, because it's not conventional, then that means there has to be something wrong with it. And as well as the fact that people weren't able to deposit or like buy directly, like HCN directly. They had to use a deposit or credit system. And they actually had compared this to like an analogy where they said, or the witness had said that William G referred to it as like amusement park tickets, where they cash it out at the end of the amusement rides and whatnot, right? So this phrasing just seems like they want to paint it as some kind of like non-serious, like very childish, improper way of exchanging cryptocurrency. When but obviously we know it's different, and we'll definitely get into that in the cross, but that's the argument that they were trying to put up to me.
And also, you know, they were trying to paint that this whole office of Himalaya Exchange as a non-serious, like a pretty well. Also, they forgot to mention in the direct that it was starting up. It's like there's a process that they have gone through until the company develops into a very mature stage, right? So at this beginning, they only have 3 people working on a team to build this together. You know, and then multiple times he was saying that he has no control over anything, no decision making. He was just the face. He was just the face of the company, as his own words, you know, because he had previous so-called experience. And then he also had the intention to move to the BVI, you know, to further, you know, establish the exchange over there.
BVI as in British Virgin Islands. And the reason why British Virgin Islands was such a key point was because of their more or less relaxed regulations regarding the starting up of cryptocurrency. So that was a well, that was one of the main priorities why they focused their projects in the BVI and wanted to start something up. So he was in charge of going to the BVI, setting up the operation, setting up a sandbox application and whatnot. But yeah, like Feather said, there was also a minor argument that maybe appointing him as CEO was a very irrational idea, because of the fact that the way that he was portraying himself. Like he said, oh, I have no experience, I have my public speaking is terrible, you know, I went to the BVI to surf, you know, just stuff like that. It was
I was doing just something I have to do, you know, he didn't consider himself as a CEO internally. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was quite funny to watch in court, to be honest. But and then they also focused a lot on the actual launch, November 1st, of the Himalaya Exchange, and how they said it was like a drop dead date from Mao's Guo, and he claimed that Mao's Guo put this date and they had to launch it by then, even when the operation team didn't feel like the Himalaya Exchange was ready just yet. So that was a very, very key point in their argument as well. Why was Mao's Guo calling the shots in terms of when the Himalaya Exchange was launched? Right, but we'll come back to this definitely. But just to point out something, he mentioned that they struggled so much on technology and being able to implement the infrastructure to build this project, right? Which kind of debunks their whole argument of oh, this is such a childish and proper way of proceeding, because keep in mind this was a heavily funded project. Right, the Himalaya Exchange was a heavily funded project. Lots of talent coming in globally, lots of investment. It took a long time, right? And because even with that, they had constantly pushed back the deadline to launch because of issues and regarding the technology, right? It goes to show that this is a very, very meticulous, like intricate system that they had to build up from the ground, right? So it kind of debunks their theory that this is some kind of children's play, amusement park children's play.
And he mentioned also times how he felt, he said in the broadcast it was not truthful in about the statement he made as the CEO of Himalaya Exchange. Because he was fearful of the pressure and then the launching day, and he was nervous and stressed about giving a public speech, which he's not good at. You know, he said that he lied about the coin being on the blockchain, the Quorum, you know.
Yeah,
the specific thing he said about?
Basically, the Quorum, it was a permission chain that would allow the Himalaya Exchange to trade in between like their specific ecosystems. This included, for example, G-Fashion. This included, for example, their preceding projects such as HPay. And because the technology wasn't readily available at the time, even though he mentioned it at the launch, he said he wasn't being truthful during the launch time. Because he was fearful.
He himself?
Yeah,
Yes.
he himself.
Himself,
Yeah,
yes.
he himself was fearful because he was fearful that there would be a sharp price drop if he spoke out on the things that weren't ready. So because he was specifically referencing a sell-off, which implies that if stakeholder or people that invested in this coin knew that specific portions weren't ready, he was afraid that they sell it off. So that's why he kind of inflated the capabilities of the coin and later then testified that he wasn't being truthful as a way to, I guess, incriminate the whole operation, but it was just himself inflating it as a marketing standpoint, right?
But he did say he was really amazed by it though.
Yeah.
You know, once the launch, after launch, from 10% for one coin to $1 in an hour or so, and then later on 14 days they popped over to $20.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and it was very surprising to him because it was on such a small exchange.
Yes.
It wasn't like the global recognition of the coin was very, very low. He thought that there was virtually no like demand for this coin because it wasn't listed on any other platforms, right? At the time being. So that was one thing. And I feel like the last argument that they had made before we began the cross-exam was the fact that they actually brought up a loan from Himalaya Exchange that traced all the way to a $37 million loan for a purchase of the yacht. So they brought that up because
which yacht in particular?
There's no mention for the particular yacht,
Yeah.
I think.
There was no specifics brought up about that.
Oh, it says it was for Miles' daughter.
That was just what was
Where she
referenced.
thinks-
Yeah.
But it didn't say the name of which yacht in particular.
No,
because I
no.
know there might have been a
mo-
couple that were
Yes.
that had came up in
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
For sure, yes. Do you want to get into the cross?
Do you want to mention the seizure of the fund with the exchange not being able to redeem
Oh yeah.
because of the SEC or?
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's mention.
Did
that.
you? So basically, at one point, you know, there's a seizure of the fund. That's the fund. It's which is in the reserve of the Himalaya Exchange. The reserve is the reserve, basically the pool of money that's backed up for the Himalaya dollar by $1. One Himalaya dollar is for $1 US. So you see the the document that's been shown again. The Himalaya dollar credit on Himalaya ecosystem platforms is equal to around $401 million. But he has no knowledge on how much money the Himalaya Exchange Reserve has, or except for what's being shown in the documents. After the seizure of the fund, the customers or the people who owns the coins or owns the dollars, they cannot exchange or redeem on the platform, but he doesn't. Let me see. He doesn't provide U.S. dollar for redemption, and he claims that there's no reserve to his knowledge. You remember that part?
Yeah, he claimed that there was no backed USD reserve, despite we having shown the fund reporting for the reserve for Himalaya Exchange and the collateralized like HDO values that was it was below the dollar amount that was in the funds, right? So which goes to show that there was substantiated evidence that it's a 1-to-1 backed stable coin, right?
And then he mentioned about the effect on the price of the coin. He said, he had a lot of fear that there's gonna be a big run, which means a lot of people is gonna sell the coin at once, so the price would drop very, very low. But then in terms of what happened is it only very little drop. You remember?
Yeah. So there was low volume, but the price was still maintained of the coin. So he said that perhaps it was like bots upholding the value of the coin. But with anyone with a bit of investing knowledge knows that if the volume's low and the price is stable, that usually means that a lot of people are in it for the long-term investment, right? So basically that's what happened during the direct. And then we got into the cross-exam.
Yes.
And the cross-exam was pretty interesting to watch, to be honest, because at first we established that his role was not code or IT based, right? That's first and foremost. He was more so like an architect, like focusing on the procedures of how like the crypto should be built to his understanding, right? And basically that because he actually mentioned previously in his testimony that he felt like despite being the CEO, he had no one to report to him.
Input
he doesn't give input, but like he was mostly responsible for like the way that it was the project progressed and in what ways the project should have progressed, right? And then to go back onto the on-chain, off-chain transactions, he at first said that you can't have transactions occur off a blockchain, which is a very interesting statement to hear from someone as experienced from crypto as he is, right? So our lawyer, Scott, had to circle back a long way, giving many examples of how, let's say, a transaction could occur off off of the blockchain.
He's giving like a lecture to this witness about how this cryptocurrency works, and there's a possibility of a different exchange to happen, right?
On just this one concept, they probably spent about 20 minutes.
That's quite a lot of time.
Yeah, until we loop back and he said, okay, it's possible that transactions could occur that's not visible to the public eye, right?
So actually, prior to the show, I did a little bit of search on Google. I just put it, private blockchain, and it actually tells you if the viewers can try this. If you look up private blockchain, they will literally tell you that there's a public blockchain, private blockchain, and a permission blockchain. So it's out there. It's kind of like a very general knowledge from what I can see from a simple search.
And then he would ask if the reasons the reasons for user to want to have off-chain transaction, and he said, I don't think there's reason for them to do so, right? But then once again, our lawyer Scott Shirk, he gave a lot of examples saying, for example, to settle quicker and it's less expensive.
Right.
When you
avoid some fees.
Yeah, when the fees when you do an off-chain transaction, and then later on he agreed. I guess, I agree. Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
Yeah. But after that was clarified, I guess they went off into the fact that the way that he actually took up this a job prospect, because he was actually well-wanted man in terms of like the crypto field at that time. So he claims in his testimony, he said his phone was ringing off the hook. You know what I mean? And then Scott was like, you know, like, do you mean right now? It's like, it's always ringing off the hook. So he had a lot of job prospects, which is what we were trying to say.
For
you
sure.
know?
And then when he talked, you know, there's job interviews with William G and Yvette Wang. There's 2 job interviews was happened, you know, and he mentioned how he was impressed by William G and then how much he knows about finance, right? He was very impressive, and then he mentioned how he wants to impress anyone for an interview. You know, this is what you have to do, and he claims that he killed it. he said I crushed the interview with William G, and then he said I killed it. And then also he kind of did a quick scan on Miles Guo before accepting the job, the Guo media as well, right?
But yeah, and then basically the foundation aside, we went into the actual preparation of Himalaya Exchange as a startup, because a lot of the reasoning why the government had brought him up is because he was present during the startup phase, the gearing up phase, right? And then he left after it was kind of substantiated as a legitimate exchange, right? So basically the argument from the government was that, oh, it's, you know, the operations are all over the place, you know, it's not legitimate. But we quickly came down in the cross to explain what was actually going on. So when they were actually preparing the to build this Himalaya Exchange, it occurred during COVID, right? So the office mandate, it made gathering talent a lot harder. Gathering talent in person a lot harder. And they struggled because the Himalaya Exchange at the time was a startup, right? So they started with like 3 people, right? And they had to build on the talent from all over the world, in order to so they had basically built a chronological timeline of what had actually happened in the Himalaya Exchange, how they went through and built a lot of executive boards. They had to onboard a lot of executives. And through 2020, which was when he started, to January 2021, it was all like a gearing up process of a lot of people. So there was a term they said the exchange had employed multiple finance, right? And then multiple IT devs, to which he responded, multiple IT devs. So you can get a sense of like the humor in his testimony, right? So multiple IT people and devs that eventually brought the workforce to over, I think, around 200 people, give or take, at that time. More than 200 people to all prep. There was like a customer service wing as well, a department, and they were being ready to like service customers launch. And just to give like the jurors a picture, it was like a lot of people working on this project, right? And it was not an easy task. It was it's a well-funded project too.
They also give like a weekly schedule of what he does in a week, and it's like a pretty like compact. Like 7 a.m. conference calls, you know, one-on-one meetings every week with William G, and then you know, and then with his weekly schedule, like what do they do on Monday, Tuesday, all the way to Friday. You know, there's different meetings with different department every single day, and then there's timesheets. So basically, what he puts in timesheet, what he did for the day, and all that.
And the government during their prosecution, they had lingered on the fact that the sandbox application in the BVI was declined. And they didn't really specify when, and then we got clarity afterwards. It was actually because when he was setting it up, the BVI required 50% of the employees that be actually based in the British Virgin Islands. So that's why it may have been difficult to obtain the sandbox license. And sandbox license just means they got to play around with limited regulations to see like basically like paper trading, right? They have to build like this exchange, and then they use the sandbox in order to test if this would actually be successful, if all their transactions would go through. Essentially, it's like a test case, right? And basically, it was revealed that it was actually because.
But
so I know we are running short on time for the show. We can start to wrap up some final thoughts regarding the cross-examination.
Right. This last one part I want to say that while he personally been to British Virgin Islands for like 3 times, and before they abandoned the project to establish this project on BVI, it was at its mature stage, so into building it. Yeah. So it's quite unfortunate that they had to abandon because of this last part, that he couldn't make the 50% being based in the BVI.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So there were a lot of unforeseen circumstances in terms of BVI and why that didn't go through. But I think the most important part of the cross-examination was just before we left. It was to basically give the jurors some nuance, as in this wasn't the final form of the Himalaya exchange. You know, as outlined by the white papers, as outlined by the phases that they had stated in their mission statement, that this private ledger trading of the Himalaya exchange was always meant to be temporary. As they build up their phases. They want to be able to trade on chain, right? The HDO and the HCN.
Right.
They want to be able to service other cryptocurrencies as well, right? And they were all working towards this. They want to be able to service like the ecosystem with HPay and whatnot. So it all credits like Himalaya exchange as a legitimate system, a legitimate ecosystem.
It was the so-called, they called it ambitious plan, but it was the plan. That was the ultimate plan. That's,
we know it's ambitious, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, the NFSC in general has the most ambitious plan, which is to take down the CCP.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I think, you know, to look at a lot of these G series, the ecosystem that they're trying to create is the fact that this is still a very early stage.
Absolutely.
You know, we can't really look at it from that standpoint yet, because, like you guys said, there has been so much effort and so much thought put into creating these systems that, you know, we just have to give it more time to let it really develop and grow into what it's intended to be, as opposed to what it's looking like now. And there has been a lot of effort from what you guys just told me, from all the meetings that this witness has taken every day, and his daily routine and tasks that he needs to get through.
Yes.
So I think we are getting close to the end of the show. Feather, do you want to kind of let the audience know the good news regarding the schedule?
Yes, for sure. So at the beginning of today, before the jurors and before the trial starts today, the defense team mentioned that they can end before July 4th, which is the week after next week. And also the government mentioned that they will finish questioning all the witness by Tuesday or early Wednesday next week. So next week's schedule will be Monday to Thursday, and then we're off on Friday. So it's possible that we end just in 2 weeks, very, very shortly. And also my school might be preparing a testimony, during our defense's witness questioning.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you guys for coming on the show and giving us such a thorough run through of today. And I do know that this witness is still being cross-examined as the show is taking place.
Yes.
So whatever we didn't get to cover today, we will do our best to cover it during the next episode next week on Monday. And with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to the show, to Miles Trial. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week to be able to bring you more information regarding the trial. The government is getting close to finishing the witnesses, as Feather have said, so we're very excited to see what witnesses Miles's team has to bring to this trial. So stay tuned, and God bless. Thank you. Everyone have a good one.